What's up guys, Hades here. We're in KVK, Zone 2 open not too long ago. It's going pretty smoothly. We just took our first city. We've had some pretty big battles this KVK, and I want to talk about them and dive right in. So, there's a few things we need to discuss. One, when you're looking at reports, if they look a little strange, you need to think about these three things. One is variables, and I'm going to go dive into each one. But variables become a very big part of a report and a outcome of a battle. The second one is matchup. How well does your element and positioning match up into an opponent's march? And the third one is team. Sometimes teamwork and the other two just don't matter, and we're going to talk about each one. Now, looking at some reports, I need to give some context. We're fighting this player, I can't say his name, but they're from 139, I believe, and I was struggling. Actually, a few of us were struggling, and we're going to talk about it. So there's these three reports. We look at the details here, and he 1v3'd, and let me get this straight for you. These are not like bad marches. These are very meta or very close to meta. They're very strong. They've beaten many good marches. But as you can see here, there's like not even a dent taken. And then my march should, in theory, hard counter. Khan counters Zenobia. Poseidon counters Charles. Poseidon's a harder carry than Kublai Khan. And I can't win. Why? Well, we're going to talk about it. But then you can see here, the flip side, wow, I crushed him. And it's not even close. But we're going to talk about each one. So the first one is variables. Let's talk about variables. When I click one of these reports, especially this bad one, and I click on these coordinates, I can see where the battle happened. And then I look at the map, and you see this dot is in enemy territory. I am in the Earth Kingdom. They are in the Fire Kingdom. So they have territory buff. The next thing I need to look at when talking about variables is boost. So in this scenario, he was using all 4 of the bonus KVK buffs, and this actually makes a pretty significant difference. If you've played with or without them, you should see a difference. If you've ever been frustrated with a report going, how am I losing? You might have had the screen like this and not seen they have buffs. You have to scroll it to the side. This is kind of crucial. I've seen a few reports where they just didn't make sense, and then I looked at the territory buff and the boosts. These both matter significantly. Now the third and most secret one is attack versus defense. You can see here it says territory rally attack, which means we rallied and hit this player, which means we're on attack and he's on defense. And I'm gonna tell you right now, defense is OP. We don't know the exact stats, we don't know the exact bonuses, but there's a few things that matter in defense. One, if you time them out, you keep whatever troops you have, and there's some very defensive teams that just time you out at 130, and then they get to the next one and time you out and go to the next one, time you out. These are not timeouts, I don't believe. Yeah, not a timeout. But defense has a boost. It has an attack boost, a defense boost. There's just a general boost, and I don't know the numbers, but there is a boost, and I have proof. Okay, so you need to think about those factors. Now, the next thing you need to think of, sorry, we just took a checkpoint. I relocated. The next thing you need to look at is matchup, right? How does each player kind of match up in the other person? For me, Loki is very solid into this team because both Khan and Kublai Khan can attack themselves, right? The reason Alex is so strong in this meta is his artifact combined with his ability makes it so he can't be controlled. He can't be confused by Loki. So Loki's actually very strong in this team. His Khan can hit himself and wound himself. His Kublai Khan can ult himself and harm himself, right? And Alex into Charles, he wouldn't want to be lined up with Charles. He would want to be lined up with Kublai Khan to get that single target damage, but that's not a huge factor. For how hard this got beat, we have to consider all the variables. The boost difference, the territory difference, and the defense difference makes this a huge loss. even though it should be very close, if not winning for the low-key team. I've seen this team beat this team. Next, we look at my March. And I talked about it a little bit, but the Poseidon counters Charles, Khan counters Zeno, and his Khan counters my Zeno. And so I should have quite a good advantage. He should have already been chipped a little bit. My Poseidon has everything he needs to have. Khan has everything he needs to have. I've experimented with all these a lot, and this has been the best setup by a far. And somehow I do less damage and can't break him, which is kind of unbelievable. But again, back to variables, lack of boost, territory, plus defense. All these things are combining together to create this kind of chaos. And then even this is not a like crazy high level team, but it's got a few skills, you know, Toxin, Web. It should do fine into this team, especially after I got them down to a third, but heals it back, doesn't matter, still has 14,000, 10,000, and hardly matters. So, we had coordination, but we lacked the boosts and the variables. Our matchups were good, but defense is just so strong, okay? And now I'm gonna prove to you why it's so strong. Here's the same player with the same exact boosts. It happened, I believe, within the same hour. Yeah, they're both 21 hours. And I'm defending a teammate who I'm not sure is boosted or not. I don't think he was. He might have been in the report that isn't showing it. But I defended him. And now you can see a stark difference. And mind you, I'm not picking and choosing. There was lots of battles where I lost to this guy. We rallied him like 5 or 6 times, and there was a bunch of bad reports. I beat him barely a couple times. It was very neutral or losing. But then when I start defending, even on his territory, defense is just so overpowered. I believe there's different either attack and defense or energy or both. I don't know. I need to try and find out what those boosts exactly are, and I'll try and get that back to you, the exact information. But I know defense is stronger. This one shows why, and we're actually going to watch this one. Because from that stark difference to me barely being able to do like half of his HP to absolutely slaughtering makes no sense. And the only thing that really kind of comes together is the defense boost. And here's the time where I'm defending an ally, I'm garrisoning their territory, and it's just a stark difference. You can see he gets a little early advantage, but then I get my wound off, he gets his off, and then Poseidon's just gonna do his thing. And then you can see the trades are just different. Because I'm on defense, he's doing less, I'm getting everything more, and then the game's over because Poseidon crushed the backline with execution and his ultimate, and there's nothing he can do about it. And I want to watch the replay of the attack just to show you the stark difference, because these two replays really tell the story about defense and just how strong it is. And finding yourself in a defensive position is something you should be looking for while on the KVK map. And we're gonna watch this one. Just watch the difference in my damage output. Nothing changed. I did not change a single skill. He did not change a single skill. He did swap his Kubal Khan from top to bottom at some point. I don't know which one was first. But you'll see the damage output. Everything is exactly the same. Poseidon should do exactly the same because he's a spellcaster. It doesn't really matter who he's auto-attacking. He's not Alex. His position is not as vital in this matchup. He's not getting hit by an Alex, and Kubal Khan doesn't do a ton of damage in front of him. He's just a random ability. You can see here, I'm now the one tanking all the damage. My Zenobia died already. She's not assisted. She just got killed because Kubal Khan focused her, I guess. And you can just see the damage difference. He's doing so much extra damage, and I was unable to deal damage, which shows I'm fairly certain there's just a generic boost that's boosting multiple factors of your march while on defense. And I think those two replays really show the difference. So, in recap, when you're analyzing a report, Keep in mind variables. Do they have talents? Do they have boost difference? Do they have the territory boosts? Then think about matchups. I talk about matchups all the time. If you want to learn about those, watch some videos on my channel. I will keep talking about them every single week. And then finally, think about coordination. In a rally, do you have people who can all team up to beat the same person or not? And these all become extremely important factors into deciding who wins a match and who does not. And it helps you better decide who to fight with and who not to. If you guys like these kind of videos, let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you guys in the next one.